Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and we have another update on Sony's Spider-Man. Well, as many of you know, Sony Pictures has pretty big plans for many Spider-Man-oriented characters, and they appear to be moving on this on several fronts. Now, they've never really spoken publicly about what their plans are and how they're making this work, but recently, Sony Chairman Tom Rothman spoke to Deadline and really gave fans an idea of what they are intending on doing with all of these characters. Now, if you rewind the clock, though, there was a period of time where it appeared Tom Holland would leave the Marvel Cinematic Universe and return to Sony and only do Spider-Man movies over at Sony Studios, no longer being able to interact with the Avengers or many of other Marvel's characters. Now, the fan backlash to this was pretty massive, and this eventually led to them sitting down with Disney and everybody hammering out a new deal to keep the web-slinger in the MCU. Now, there are a lot of possibilities for all of these characters. For the longest time, it appeared Spider-Man was the only one who would have those superpowers to cross cinematic universes, as Kevin Feige once said, but now it appears there's a lot more going on. We might see some other Sony characters, like Venom just did, appear in the MCU, but Sony's approach will keep some of these separated in a way that might actually work. It appears they are taking a three-pronged approach to the Spider-Man universe they are developing. Now, when Tom Rothman was talking to Deadline recently, he broke down some of their plans, and it does kind of make a lot of sense. In the interview, he said, "We have our Marvel business, which breaks into three tranches. There are the Spider-Man movies, and we're currently working on 2 Spider-Verse sequels to our Oscar award-winning animated movie with Lord and Miller, and we hope to get working on the next Spider-Man movie." Now, the word tranches is a fairly interesting word to choose here, as it's typically used in business to describe a security that can be split into smaller pieces and sold to investors. I'm not sure if this is Sony's intention here, and honestly, Tom Rothman is a businessman, so that might be why he uses the term, so I wouldn't read too much into it. Now, what this basically means is they're attacking Spider-Man on 3 different fronts. It appears the Marvel Studios and Sony will continue to work together on those Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Nothing is moving forward right now, but both sides have made it pretty clear that they intend on continuing with the character in the MCU, and this is pretty much what a lot of fans want. On the second front, we have those Spider-Verse movies, which there are 2 coming down the pipe. The first one was pretty great, and fans loved it, and I actually think it's going to be pretty important for Sony to set up the framework for some of their other projects. And then on the third front, this is where probably the most development for Sony is happening. This is where Venom, Kraven the Hunter, El Muerto, and Madame Webb are all living, along with Spider-Woman. Now, I think the Spider-Woman project might be the key one for Sony and their Spider-Man universe. Jessica Drew is a fairly complicated character when it comes to rights, and although we can't see behind the scenes, the general understanding is that Sony has the right to Spider-Woman, and Marvel Studios actually has the rights to the character Jessica Drew. Fortunately for Sony, there's been several people to hold the title of Spider-Woman, and since they apparently really lack the ability to use Peter Parker in these movies, that's one of the paths they could take. I also think they will be pretty foolish if they don't explore Miles Morales. This is a whole nother thing, and maybe they want to put him into the MCU also. This isn't something we've heard, but would make a lot of sense for both parties. Now, obviously, we're going to have to watch Sony pretty carefully. Morbius was what many people consider a miss, and even the last Venom sequel didn't totally connect with a lot of fans, but it did make pretty good box office results, and ultimately, I think that's what's most important to Sony. Now, as soon as we get some more news on Spider-Man 4, or really any of these Sony projects, we're going to bring it to you right away. But until then, I gotta know what you guys think. So what do you guys think of Sony Pictures kind of referring to their Spider-Man movies as really 3 separate tranches? And does this indicate to you they have plans to maybe sell these off, or is that just a business term Tom Rothman threw out there? Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.